Hello, in this video we are going to learn how to draw apertures on rooms that you've created in Pollination. So to get started, you can go to the Add Apertures icon and select Draw an Aperture. The first thing it will ask you to do is select a room face or orphan face for drawing an aperture on. So we want to find that room, and just a quick note / tidbit. You want to make sure that your view settings is set to, if it's set to wireframe or one of these other options, the Pollination is looking for ISO curves to select. So if you select wireframe, and in my case I have ISO curves turned off, it will not select the surface. So I go to ghosted view so that I can select the surface from anywhere in order to draw the aperture. So it's just a quick tidbit. So let's get started. Let's draw an aperture, and I'm going to select this surface. And then I'll hit enter when done. And there's two options. You can do a 3-point triangle, or the default is going to just be a plane. Or you can draw a free form. So let's get started just with the default option, and you can really start anywhere. So let's zoom in. And if you like to snap to grids, so I have my grid snaps on, you can just find your closest place and start drawing a aperture. Now the default is set to make a square aperture. If you hit shift, it will unlock that. And then you can go ahead and select the height and size. So let's say it's 2 meters by 3.75 meters. And then I'll just find another one, and you can keep drawing till you get to how many units you have. And that one just snapped to be slightly bigger than I wanted it to. So you can always go back and make changes. So I'll show you how you can do that. So let's see, we want them to go to 2.75. And I will draw, I'm just going to draw this one really big just for, alright. So once I hit enter, it created the apertures, and now see I don't have space between these two apertures. So what you can do is go into isolation mode by double clicking on the room. And then you can select the aperture that you want to change. So in this case, I want to make this one slightly narrower to give some space. So you can hit scale, type in scale 1D, and you can say I'm going to go from this point to, and since you have snap grid on, you can just turn that, and there you go. Or you can delete it and redraw it. The next way to draw it, so let's exit the isolation mode. So if you wanted to draw an aperture, you can select the surface. So we want this surface. And let's select the 3-point. So the 3-point will let you choose how to draw it. Okay, so you're selecting either the length or the width, and then the length or the width again. You can also, let's do that again, on this back side, if we were to do a free form and we wanted to draw like an odd shape, and I hit enter. Now, just a best practice when drawing apertures, you don't want them to align with the edge of your room in any instance. So you want to always make sure that that aperture is moved, away from the edge just ever so slightly. And you can use the gumball or you can use the move command, and you'll see that once you see a solid blue color, that's an indicator that you've drawn your aperture correctly. If I undo the last two moves I made, you'll see that there's a stippling effect or like a overlapping view that you see, and that's indicating that that aperture is not drawn correctly for energy modeling specifically. So you can use the gumball and make sure that you draw your apertures a couple of inches or centimeters away from the edge of your surface if you have a fully glazed geometry. You can also go ahead and switch views. So if you wanted to go to front view, you can actually, let's select the room first. Let's draw an aperture and let's select the surface. And if I go to my front view, you can again draw your rooms and hit shift if you want it to be rectangular. And not hitting shift will keep it square. And you can kind of trace, even if you're tracing the windows in the front, it's going to only apply them to the back end. So say I delete all of these and I want to create a duplicate of what's going on over here on the other side. So I'm going to draw aperture, select the room, and I'm going to go to my front view because that's where I already drew my windows, and I'm just going to trace these. That's a quick way that you can, so if you had an elevation that you've brought in or something, doesn't matter where it is respective to your room, the drawing, like if you had an underlayment or an elevation, as long as you selected the surface, any aperture you draw on it is going to lock and be coplanar to that wall surface. That's it makes things a lot quicker and easier. You can trace an elevation very quickly, and you can use the snap grid, or you can use the O snap that we've seen with Smart Track, similar to when we're drawing the room in a video with importing a floor plan. Okay, so that's what I have for drawing apertures, and thank you for watching.